I just can't keep on going, going, going. I just can't keep on going. I'm falling in love with you. I just can't keep on going, going, going. I just can't keep on going. I'm falling in love with you.
So in today's video, I wanted to talk about changing out the gaskets in the oil pump. It's one of the few oil leaks on the CB550 that kind of happen to everyone's bike at some point in time. The oil pump is pretty low on the bike, so you do have to drain the oil first before you can take it off, or it'll just dump oil all over the place. For whatever reason, the oil pump on these bikes, because I've done two now, fast forward, they are so difficult to get off. I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of those JIS screws that are just corroded and the angle that you have to get at to get to them, because the frame and the exhaust are kind of in the way from you getting a good angle and torque and everything to be able to get those bolts off easily. You're going to see how I finally did it, but it was a struggle fest. So I started off with these exterior screws on the outer housing of the pump, and I am using a JIS screwdriver here, the Impacta, I believe. I couldn't move it just by rotating it, and just to be clear, I didn't really know how to use an impact driver yet when I made this video. I do now. You know how you hammer it on the end to kind of loosen it up. Didn't know how to use it. So I tried to do it by hand, didn't get very far. I was able to pull the drill out, and that got him out. Actually, I think it was a impact driver, not just a regular drill. Ryobi was able to get those out, and that wasn't too bad, but that was only the beginning. So the source of the problem bolts are these three, actually you can see, exterior screws, and the heads look pretty meaty. They're not like small little ones. They don't look easy to strip out or anything, but those things are kind of long, and they are just stuck in there. So I went with the impact driver to start because, you know, we had such luck with those other screws. No dice whatsoever, and as you can see, I'm actually starting to strip those screws out. So off camera, I actually tried to drill the upper right screw out and actually wound up breaking the drill bit off inside of the oil pump. So I'm using these needle nose pliers to try to pull that out. I was so frustrated at this point. I'm breaking bits. None of these screws are moving. It was not a good time. So at this point, I decided to actually use the impact driver like you're supposed to, applying pressure and kind of turning the screwdriver while hammering the end of it. Kind of should break it loose, but these things are it's just way too difficult. So this is the third method that I'm trying here, and I cannot get these things to budge. So at this point, as you can imagine, I'm getting really frustrated, and I actually didn't even record this last part because I was just trying to find a solution, and I was just getting angry and upset. That upper right bolt that we drilled and broke that bit off in, I decided to actually cut it off with a Dremel tool. So I cut the head of that screw off completely, and just gave me a flat surface. My idea was that if I can make the surface flat, we can maybe try to drill into it again with a better bit. And here I'm making a like a pilot mark, so my drill bit goes center. A lot of different brands make extractor tools, but basically, usually they're just kind of left-hand drill looking bits that are used to kind of screw a screw or bolt out when they're corroded, and you kind of hammer it in, and you kind of use either a tool to unscrew it or a drill or something like that. I've had good and bad luck with them. Some brands are better than others. I think I was using the Ryobi ones on these, which are okay, I guess. But as you can see, this bolt was actually kind of loose. I was spraying this down between shots with PB Blaster everywhere. So I think between the PB Blaster, banging on it, drilling, and all that kind of stuff, we finally kind of loosened this guy up. Since that seemed to have worked on that first bolt, I decided, you know what, let's try it again. So to be able to get the Dremel tool to cut the next screw head off, I had to remove the oil pressure switch. So that switch, there's a wire connected to the top of that, and that goes to the top of the bike, and there's a light to show you if you have oil pressure or not. So if your oil dumps out in the middle of the road, you know, the bike will tell you so you can pull over before you blow up your engine. So I took that off, and we're going to try to use the Dremel tool to cut off that second bolt. So we're jumping ahead again, but that did work. I was able to cut that one off. That bottom screw I was not able to cut off because it's so close to the bike's frame. So this was off camera, sorry again, but I was able to drill into it and use that extractor tool and then kind of use this. I don't know what that's called. It's like a driver, vice driver thing that can hold on to bits, like a hand drill kind of thing. And I was able to use that to screw it back out. That was a lifesaver. This is like day 2 or 3 of doing this for like 5 hours a day. Like, it really took me a long time. It's condensed in this video, but it took me forever. And I was so happy to finally get those bolts out. So finally, after getting everything off, replacing all the gaskets, replacing all the hardware with new bolts, we put the new oil pump back on, replaced all the oil, and this is me just starting the bike up and going for just letting it run. Not really a test ride because, as you can see, the lights are falling all over the place, both tires are flat, and I have no brakes. So at this point, I'm just baby walking this thing up and down my driveway just so we can let the oil pump some oil and make sure our fix actually worked. And it did. It never leaked again after that. So great learning experience, and the oil pump is definitely one of the hardest parts on this bike to take off, but we did it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.